At 2:31. The ceiling camera shows Officer Mark Parker standing 5 steps from Ava Bennett. His right hand is out, asking for her papers. She's holding 3 dresses by the fitting room door. Was there any legal basis for demanding her ID in this situation? 17 minutes earlier, the same camera angle recorded Ava Bennett walking into the Bellacourt luxury boutique at 2:14 p.m. The glass door closed behind her. A short chime rang. She went straight to the evening gown rack in the back left. Her right hand slid across the hangers. She stopped at a dark blue dress, lifted it off the rack, checked the seam at the hem, placed it back where it was. Linda Parker was standing near the sale rack at the front of the store. Her phone was in her right hand. Her eyes were on Ava Bennett as she moved over to the work dresses. At 2:23, the camera shows Linda Parker leaving the sale rack, walking towards the fitting rooms, and stopping next to a large mirror. She turned her back to the mirror, tilted her head to her phone, and said something quietly into it. No employee alerted security. No alarm sounded. There was no internal announcement. Ava Bennett picked out 2 more dresses. She draped the 3 of them over her left arm. She walked slowly towards the fitting room hallway. The distance from the rack to the fitting room was 7 meters. No one stood in her way. No staff member spoke to her. 2:31. The front door opens. Officer Mark Parker walks in, wearing a dark blue uniform. Badge on his left chest. The red light on his bodycam is on. He doesn't stop at the cash register. He doesn't speak to the employee on duty. He walks straight for Ava Bennett. The distance between them shrinks to 5 steps. Officer Mark Parker said, "I need to see your ID." Ava Bennett turned to face him. The 3 dresses were still over her arm. She was standing 2 steps from the fitting room. Ava Bennett said, "What for?" Officer Mark Parker answered, "Someone reported you as suspicious." No specific action was named. No evidence was mentioned. He raised his right hand to his chest. "Palm up." Ava Bennett said, "What specific behavior?" Officer Mark Parker didn't name a specific action. He took 1 step closer, 4 steps apart now. His right hand was still held out. Officer Mark Parker said, "I need to see your identification." A customer, standing near the accessories counter, about 10 feet away, lifted a phone up to eye level. The lens was aimed at them. Linda Parker took a step back, next to a rack of silk scarves. Ava Bennett shifted the 3 dresses to her right arm. With her left hand, she opened her handbag. She pulled out her wallet, took out her license, held it forward. Ava Bennett said, "Here is my driver's license." Officer Mark Parker took the license. He glanced at the front for less than 2 seconds. He didn't read the name out loud. He didn't confirm the address. He handed it back. Officer Mark Parker said, "I need you to step outside." The store manager hadn't asked her to leave. No one had issued a trespassing warning. Megan Ross, a sales clerk, stepped out from behind the counter. She stood 2 meters away from Officer Mark Parker. Megan Ross said, "You should do what the officer tells you." Ava Bennett held her license in her left hand. She stood her ground. Ava Bennett said, "I own this store." Officer Mark Parker gave a slight shake of his head. He placed his right hand on the handheld device on his hip. His thumb tapped the screen. Officer Mark Parker said, "That claim is unsubstantiated." He typed something into his mobile device. The screen showed a field labeled "Subject reported as suspicious." The section for describing the specific behavior was blank. He saved it as a draft. Ava Bennett didn't move. The 3 dresses were still over her right arm. Linda Parker stood behind the scarf rack, watching. The customer with the phone held it steady. At face level, the bodycam kept recording. Officer Mark Parker took 1 more step. His right hand left the device. The distance was now 3 steps. He raised his hand to his belt, his thumb resting on the clasp of the handcuff case on his hip. The ceiling camera clearly shows Officer Mark Parker removing the handcuffs from their case and holding them in his right hand. The ceiling camera continues to show Officer Mark Parker holding handcuffs in his right hand, standing 3 steps from Ava Bennett. The 3 dresses still draped over her arm. Ava Bennett did not retreat. She placed the 3 dresses on an upholstered chair by the fitting room. Her left hand still held her license. Her right hand dropped to her side. Officer Mark Parker took another step forward, 2 steps apart. He lifted the handcuffs to waist height. His badge and name tag were clear on the bodycam footage. "Ava," Bennett said, "I do not consent to being detained." Officer Mark Parker replied, "You're refusing an order. There was no order from the owner to leave the premises. No written request. No trespass warning." Ava Bennett put her driver's license back in her wallet. She opened her phone. The screen lit up. She pressed a pre-saved contact. Ava Bennett said, "Ethan Cole," to the sales floor. Now, Linda Parker stood behind a rack of silk scarves. Her right hand held her purse. Her left hand held her phone against her chest. She didn't come any closer. Megan Ross stood next to the checkout counter. Her hands were clasped in front of her stomach. She didn't take a step, didn't say another word. Officer Mark Parker held the handcuffs in his right hand. His left hand rested on his electronic tablet. He opened the report entry again. On the screen, the line read, "Subject reported as suspicious. Refuses to leave." The section for specific behavior was still blank. Ava Bennett placed her phone on the wooden table near the fitting room. She turned toward the ceiling camera. Ava Bennett said, "I want it on record that there has been no violation." Officer Mark Parker did not edit the entry. He closed the tablet. The handcuffs were still unlocked. The front door opened. Ethan Cole walked in at 2:34. In his right hand, he held 2 paper bags with the store's logo. He stopped 3 steps inside the door. His eyes went to Ava Bennett and Officer Mark Parker. Ethan Cole walked quickly toward the fitting room area. He set the paper bags on the floor. He stood between the 2 of them, a step away from each. Ethan Cole said, "That's the owner of the store." Officer Mark Parker turned his head to look at Ethan Cole. His right hand still held the handcuffs. Officer Mark Parker said, "She was reported as suspicious." Ethan Cole took his phone from his pocket. He opened a search engine. He typed the name Ava Bennett Bellecourt. The screen showed a photo from the grand opening and a business article. He turned the screen toward Officer Mark Parker, about 30 centimeters from his face. No one moved from their positions. The customer holding a phone still had it raised to her face. The lens was pointed at the 3 of them. Officer Mark Parker looked at the screen. He looked back at Ava Bennett. Then he looked at the screen again. Ava Bennett said, "I'm the one who signed the lease for this space." Officer Mark Parker lowered the handcuffs to his hip. He didn't lock them, didn't put them away. Ethan Cole opened the company email on his phone. He scrolled down to the signature with Ava Bennett's name and the title CEO. The screen was held at Officer Mark Parker's chest level. Linda Parker stood still behind the scarf rack. She didn't step out. She didn't leave the store. Officer Mark Parker raised his left hand and touched the radio on his shoulder. He spoke quietly into the radio. The words were unclear from the ceiling camera's perspective. No additional units arrived right away. Ava Bennett took 1 step to her left. She picked up the 3 dresses from the upholstered chair. She placed them back on the nearest rack. Ethan Cole stood straight. His hands were at his sides. His phone was still open to the search results page. Officer Mark Parker looked at his tablet again. He reopened the entry. The cursor blinked in the behavior description section. Still, no specific details were added. "Ava," Bennett said, "I am not leaving my property." There was no trespassing complaint from Ethan Cole. No detention report was printed out. No handcuffs were locked. Officer Mark Parker closed the tablet. He held the handcuffs in his right hand for a few more seconds. Then, he lowered his hand. The ceiling camera clearly recorded Officer Mark Parker standing in the same spot. The unused handcuffs still in his right hand. The ceiling camera clearly recorded Officer Mark Parker lowering the handcuffs to his hip, still unlocked, with Ethan Cole standing between them. His phone opened to the search results page, showing Ava Bennett's name. Officer Mark Parker looked at the tablet again. The cursor was still blinking in the behavior description field. No new lines had been added. He tapped the screen twice. The draft still showed its status as incomplete. Ava Bennett stood 2 steps away from him. Her arms hung naturally at her sides. The 3 dresses were hung back in their proper place. "Ava," Bennett said, "I demand you cancel that report." Officer Mark Parker didn't answer right away. He opened the edit screen again. He deleted the line "refuses to leave." The description section was left blank. He pressed cancel report. A confirmation notice appeared on the screen. He selected confirm. Ethan Cole held his phone at his chest. The news article still showed the photo of Ava Bennett at the grand opening last year. Officer Mark Parker said, "I'm concluding the stop here." No report was printed. No detention order was issued. No handcuffs were used. Linda Parker stood behind the towel rack, her hand still holding the phone. She walked slowly toward the door. Didn't say another word. No one stopped her. A customer at the accessories counter moved closer. His phone was still recording. The lens clearly captured the name tag on Officer Mark Parker's chest. "Ava," Bennett said, "I'm filing a formal complaint." Officer Mark Parker gave a slight nod. He put his handcuffs back in their holder, turned off his bodycam light. He turned toward the door. Ethan Cole stood still until Officer Mark Parker left the sales floor. The glass door opened, then closed. The clock on the wall showed 2:38. Ava Bennett walked over to the checkout counter. She requested a backup of all camera footage from 2:10 to 2:40. Ethan Cole pulled a backup hard drive from a drawer under the counter, plugged it into the storage system. A copy progress bar ran across the screen. Megan Ross stood about 10 feet from the counter. Her hands were folded in front of her. She said nothing more. That afternoon, Ava Bennett went to the local police headquarters. She filed a written complaint. The intake time was recorded as 4:15. The file was stamped as received. 3 days later, Internal Affairs opened an investigation. They requested copies of the bodycam and store camera footage. They checked for a deleted draft report. There was no description of specific behavior in the system log. During the internal review, Officer Mark Parker was asked about the basis for requesting ID. Officer Mark Parker said, "There was a call about a suspicious person." The record clearly stated there was no specific description in the call. No violation of store policy was noted. There was no request to leave from the owner or manager. 2 weeks later, a disciplinary decision was issued. Officer Mark Parker received a written reprimand for requesting ID without specific suspicion. The document was filed in his personnel record. The suspicious person entry in the system was completely deleted. It no longer existed in the database for that week's activity. Ava Bennett, through her lawyer, filed a civil lawsuit regarding being asked to leave the premises and the baseless demand for ID. The lawsuit was filed in federal court. During discovery, the video from the customer was submitted as evidence. A clip of the video went viral online within 24 hours. It got over 8 million views in the first 3 hours. The image of Officer Mark Parker's name tag appeared clearly at the start of the frame. In the civil hearing, Ava Bennett's lawyer raised questions about the procedure for demanding identification when no specific act has occurred. Internal training documents were cited in court. The city chose to settle before a jury trial. The settlement amount was announced as $680,000. After a separate criminal trial related to abuse of authority and multiple prior incidents, Officer Mark Parker was sentenced to 8 years in prison. According to public court records, Linda Parker was mentioned in numerous news reports. The line she said in the video was replayed many times. She left the private club where she was a member. Her name appeared in articles analyzing the incident. Megan Ross's employment was terminated that month. Her personnel file noted the reason was related to her handling of a customer situation. Ava Bennett held a press conference in front of the store 3 days after the settlement was announced. Ava Bennett said, "I built this store from the ground up." She stood in front of the Bellacourt sign. Behind her was the glass door with the gold-printed logo. Ava Bennett said, "I do not accept baseless demands." Sales the following month increased by more than 50% compared to the same period the previous year. 3 new branches were opened in the next 2 years. The legal aid fund established by Ava Bennett assisted 96 cases in its first 3 years. The assistance records were published on the organization's website. 5 years later, the store chain reached 9 locations. Annual revenue exceeded $12 million. I believe that all power needs to be checked by clear procedures and concrete evidence. What regulations do you think should be in place to prevent baseless ID requests? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this story. And subscribe to the Power Misplaced Stories channel to follow similar cases.